Okay, so Mark here from Rock and Load this evening. We are at Belfast in Deer's Head. We're joined by 4 lads from Drogheda. We've got Barry, Cian, Daniel, and Graham. So got it wrong. Did I get it right? I fucking found
You got it right.
Didn't fill the garth. We're not too bad. Otherwise known as Modern Love. The guys are halfway through there. You just really started your UK and Irish tour, haven't you?
Yeah, well, we're kind of hitting the midway point now. We're finished with the island of Britain, and now we're Northern Ireland, and afterwards we'll be finishing up down south.
Yeah. So listen, tell us a little bit about the band. Obviously, the history. When did you guys sort of form?
He usually takes this question. Yeah. he started the band.
Me and Barry have known each other for like 20 years. We met in like primary school. We were always kind of into the same music, but we never really did anything with it. It was only kind of when I met Graham, and we were like 12 or 13, that me and Graham started kind of jamming out in one of our friends' garage
conversions.
Spaces.
It's
called
a studio, but
it's called a studio, but it's not really. Yeah, so me and Graham used to just play like Nirvana, like Led Zeppelin, just like play like really loud, probably sounded awful.
We did, instead of terrible.
We needed a singer, and I
Very
basically
easy.
just dragged Barry in and made him do it, and then he learned how to play the guitar.
Yeah.
He pretty much learned how to play the guitar so that he could be in the band.
Just for the band, yeah.
And then it took us like another maybe 2 years after that to meet Danny, and then once Danny joined the band, that was when we were about 15 or 16, then we kind of became like a real actual band. Before that, it was just kind of messing around.
And
The first song that we ever like wrote together was Us, which is out now, but that was within a month of like Danny joining the band. So as soon as we wrote that, we were like, okay, we're this band now.
Yeah. So I was just going to say, like, so because it's hard for people to find an identity sometimes. You know, it takes years. So do you think then the earlier years then was sort of finding your feet and getting a feel for what you wanted to do?
I think we all wanted to play live music.
Yeah.
That was always the goal. Yeah.
You know, I think most bands start by playing covers.
Yeah.
And around our local town, Drogheda. But we always wanted to write our own stuff as well.
We always wanted to be a band.
Yeah. Original.
I think we started so young that like
It was just for fun.
the idea of being like a cool band wasn't something that entered our heads before we were like until we basically went out and looked for a fourth member.
Yeah.
So the 3 of us
Kind of just jammed around.
we literally just did it because it was fun to make noise and be like, oh my god, that kind of sounded like Smells Like Teen Spirit. Whoa,
Yeah.
that's so cool.
A lot of Kings of Leon and Arctic Monkeys. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's how most bands start in
Yeah.
Ireland. Just Kings of Leon, Arctic Monkeys covers.
Everybody out there is going to expect you to say you too, but
We did
I'll follow. I will follow. Yeah, we did
the ending of Lovell Terrace Apart when we covered that. We used to do with
because we saw you too.
We never actually did it.
We jammed it.
Yeah.
So, you two were like the first band that I ever listened to. My parents had like their albums, and I'd like those are the first CDs I listened to, and like, yeah, you two are inescapable as an Irish band, but
absolutely, yeah.
but rightly so. Like,
They catch enough lot of flack, but like my god, there's some.
I think it's because people don't know. They don't remember. Like people don't know the Unforgettable Fire, Joshua Tree, October Baby era of U2. They know like the Bono showing up on people's iPhones.
Yeah.
The sunglasses, dude.
Yeah.
They don't know like
They
how cool they were.
They forget how
influential
amazing it
as well. Yeah.
And so, like for yourself, then, as a vocalist, as I say, you were dragged into it and forced to do it. Had you discovered your voice at that stage?
I always liked singing, but I like the first albums that I ever like bought myself were like McFly, you know, that kind of stuff. And the songs that these guys were playing were all of these rock songs, and I had never like shouted before or anything like that. So I always loved singing, but yeah, I think it was a while after we all started writing music together that I sort of knew how I wanted to sing and knew what suited me. And
it didn't take you that long though.
But I think because we all write the songs as well, it was more like finding a voice for the band as well.
Collective.
Yeah, and I just like we write a lot of indie bangers, a lot of shout singing. I like to do that. So yeah.
Fond of the Mongolian throat singing as well.
That's how I warm up before.
And so, like, you sort of touched on a few things there, but like influences then in those early stages, like who was sort of trying to sort of flavour of your style of music at that stage?
Very initially, me and Barry were like emos as teenagers. So it was all very My Chemical Romance, Taking Back Sunday, Blink-182, those kind of like early 2000s pop punk emo adjacent band. Like some of our first demos are like hilarious because we're trying to do that, but we don't really know what we're at. And then we got into bands like the 1975 and Block Party and Bombay Bicycle Club and
indie bands. And when Graham joined the band, we all like got crazy about Kings of Leon as well.
Yeah,
that like indie rock, and then like just mad ones like Prince or someone else.
On the jazz side of it kind of came through then.
We all listen. We all kind of listen to everything.
Yeah.
Just because like Spotify is a thing and everything is at your fingertips. Like everyone kind of listens to everything now, and that's kind of what we do as well. So with a lot of our songs, we could kind of go anywhere with, but what we all sort of always agree on or come back to, like connect with, is that sort of indie pop, indie rock, like British sound, and even like new wave sort of music, The Cure and New Order. Like us, like to us sounds like U2 and New Order. And a bit
that's
of
what we
Block
were
Party
going
thrown
for.
in,
Yeah,
you know.
I think we were very sporadic at the start, and I think with what we took influence from, and now I think we're even more like all over the place.
But I was hoping it comes back and is like cohesive and stuff.
The thing is as well is that obviously musically when you develop, a couple of years can change so much, you know, from what you're listening to, even your own musical taste and flavours and what you're putting across out there. So it's quite a journey to go on from such a young age, especially. It must be hard to balance that sort of.
I've noticed that myself, like when during COVID, we weren't able to like play in a room together, so we ended up writing a lot more like electronic based things because we're confined to just our laptop. And now that we're like playing live music again, it seems like all the songs that we're writing have this crazy fast paced energy that translates well.
I think we were all like with COVID, because we were alone as well, we were all individually able to indulge a lot more in our own personal tastes. So like Danny is like super into like a lot of very electronic, almost like breakbeat stuff. And like I'd be into like the same kind of stuff like garage and house and that kind of thing, but then I'd also be very into like the emo, pop punk, then the new wave, Cure stuff as well. And then like all of us would at home by ourselves would be very like self-indulgent when we couldn't meet each other because we couldn't bounce ideas off each other as much as we used to. So I think that also informed the progression of the songwriting. As well.
And so you put out an EP. Was it Monochrome Blue? Was the initial EP? When did that come out?
Monochrome Blue was last year, like last August, I think was the last song released off it, which was Two Missed Calls.
And so was that written then over pandemic?
Yeah, two of them were. A lot of them were kind of older.
It was a combination of songs that we just like the first few songs that we had ever written together. A few of them that we always like played live and practiced because it was the first time we got to release an EP. So we wanted to like finally release a few of those, and then there were some songs that we sort of put together over lockdown and COVID. Let Me Know was one. And I think we started writing Come Over before lockdown and kind of finished it during.
Just before.
So it was kind of a combination of the two, but everything was recorded during lockdown, so we hardly ever met up. And
us and Licorice, like at the time that the EP came out, were like 5 years old.
It was the easiest one to make because when the songs were already done, all we had to do was re-record all the guitars.
We had such a strong idea of what they were because we were
we
playing
knew them
for so many
inside
years.
out.
And then so had you built momentum before lockdown at that stage?
That's the weird thing. We were always kind of just confined to playing like our hometown or playing Dublin a few times as a support or something. But it wasn't until lockdown that we wrote a song and released it ourselves that we like got interest from labels and stuff like that, and then we were signed during lockdown. So like
strange.
Like a
very
really
opposite to what happened to a lot of other people.
A really strange time for everyone and a really hard time, and especially as musicians, you couldn't do anything. Like we were releasing music, but we couldn't play it, so we couldn't know if anybody was on the other end receiving it and like appreciating it. but then we got signed, and yeah, that's been the story ever since.
Yeah, and the sort of born out of lockdown, then just building on the momentum from that as soon as the doors opened, I suppose.
Yeah. When Oh My Mind, the next EP, like that was the first time that we got to like go to a studio in London, got to travel as a band and record and stuff.
And how was that experience for you?
Very different to Monochrome Blue.
Yeah.
But in a way, it was quite similar because when we got to the studio, we still had that same like we know what the songs are.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot like we knew. Like writing the songs is kind of the harder part. Once you know what they are, you can just go in.
Yeah, it's very in and out.
Yeah, it was straightforward enough. Like, how did you find the experience of working with like producers and stuff like that? There was.
I think we got lucky with the producers.
Yeah, like Tom Leach did a lot of work with us, TL, and our friend Adam Redmond, who's Irish. They both, as producers, are very like hands off, and they're very like, if we just say exactly what we want, they're very receptive to it.
I think they have like a good gauge of like they know a lot of music. And they know, like, they can hear songs and immediately know the direction that we're like going for and the references that we would use.
I'm sure it's handy because I've been speaking to quite a few musicians recently who work with various producers, and it must be good to have somebody who trusts you with your songwriting. And that was let's do your own thing.
100%. That was a big thing with TL. Like, that was the first time that we'd worked with a producer who had worked with like so many big acts and, you know, like had such a name for himself. And then we went in and we're like, can we do it like this? And he was like, yeah, sure, man. And I was like, oh,
it's actually kind of probably one of the most important parts. Like someone you're super comfortable with.
And someone who takes you seriously, like whether it's like management or a label or a producer or like your bandmates, that they take your opinion seriously, and like we all like validate each other, like we all write together and we all like validate each other's opinions, like it's a democracy.
And he came to the London show, TL, as well, to see us like
two, 3 nights ago,
and he was like, that was the best show ever. Like he's like a fan and a friend.
In the studio he's very quiet, you wouldn't really hear him talk. He'll just say yes or no. Like hearing him go mad was fucking hilarious.
Focused on his job.
He's off the clock. He's
the most chilled out man on the whole planet. He's great.
It's a fucking good job as well.
And so, what the studio experience itself? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah. I think we're very comfortable. We go to the same 2 spots every time we record. We go to Snap Studios in London and then Pony Studios in Hackney. And I think we like, because myself and Danny did music production degrees in college, and Barry studied music in college, and I think we're very like comfortable in the studio, and like we do all our own pre-production. Like Danny does a lot for us, and we're very comfortable in a studio environment anyway. So I don't think it was ever like a big shock to the system to go into the studio.
Because it can be for some people, you know.
I think something that was cool about it was that in lockdown, when we were recording it all remotely, it was kind of like we wrote the song, it was produced, and that was it. But in the studio with everyone there in the same room, there was a lot more of like just in the moment, immediate, like why don't you try this, or like little runs, or just inflections in what I was singing, or just like different ideas bouncing around. And with On My Mind, the EP kind of felt a bit more in the moment than Monochrome Blue.
And how do you guys feel about that EP sitting against the original one?
I
Evolution.
I feel like we're kind of always like writing in the moment, and we're still young.
I also kind of feel like once we release something, I don't really think about it again. So like I'm not really thinking about the last 2 EPs.
We're thinking about the album after the next EP that's coming out after this EP. That's like there's
it is very true. Like I'm similar with the sort of things that I do. Once it's done, I just put it to bed.
You need to keep moving forward and progressing rather than.
It's great though, because when it's not released, it's yours, and as soon as it is, and it's like your thing that you obsess over all the time because you can change it before it's released. But as soon as it is, it's not yours anymore. It's the world's, and it's like it's the audience's as well, just to interpret it how they would like to, or how it just sounds to them. So it's like it's not just ours anymore. It's like our fans. And
how do you find that experience? For example, when you put songs out with lyrics, that interpretation, it must be strange because people will take what they want from a song.
Well, I think on this tour that we're doing is the first time we've ever played songs and heard like
screaming it back.
Like a substantial amount of people actually singing them back, and like even people after the shows like asking us about like the songs, stuff like that. Like,
I got really emotional in London because like my girlfriend was there, and the last song "Follow You" was like written about her, and I like seeing her there and seeing like 250 people sing the lyrics. I like came off stage and I was like, "Fuck, that's mad."
Yeah.
Like,
It must be. Yeah, it must be a beautiful experience. Obviously, putting that out there and then getting
it back is like one of the most it's like really humbling as well. Like,
10 years time, you'd be like, "Fuck you, I don't care."
Yeah, stop singing.
I don't know. I don't think I'll ever get used to that. I feel like,
You can't.
you don't want to get used to it.
No.
Yeah.
And obviously, the bigger the venue, the bigger the crowd singing that back.
Yeah,
It's bound to be something that you really feed off.
100%.
But even when we went to Germany and including the UK dates we've just come back from, when we were like after the gigs, people want to queue up and see us.
Yeah.
I'll never get used to that. That's insane.
People
to me.
want
We're a bunch of losers.
talk to us. Bunch of smelly lads.
Yeah. They don't know. They
They don't know yet.
They don't know.
It's a weird. It must be a weird thing because obviously, again, especially a lockdown experience coming out of that and having that whole hands-off type thing to be thrust out there and having that whole experience is.
It feels like it's happened quite instantly. Like I still feel like every gig we show up to, even the ones that were like sold out, there's still like something in the back of my mind that's like, is there gonna be anyone here?
It's like the imposter syndrome.
Yeah,
you always think you're
you play the show and like people queue up to meet you and they want you to sign stuff. And you're like, you want us to sign stuff? Why? Yeah.
Just laugh. Like.
Yeah. It you never like get used to it. I don't think it's great.
And you have just came back from the European thing with Neve, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And how was that experience?
That was like great. I mean, it was the first time we'd ever been like playing gigs outside of the country.
Yeah.
Like all together. And yeah, like even for crowds that weren't necessarily ours, just people who are hearing our music for the first time, and then coming up to us afterwards, like asking about songs they'd heard for the first time. They're very enthusiastic about music in Germany.
Yeah, we really didn't expect any of it.
I suppose that's the thing as well, experiencing that crowd which outside of your own and trying to get used to that vibe.
I do think Germany is a different
it's a different beast to the UK.
Yeah, they love like if you go on, we were late for one of the gigs. I can't remember which.
Graham wants to go back.
It was the
It was Cologne. Yeah, we were late, so we had to do a sound check with the audience in the venue, and they were just screaming at us. Like they're not even there for us. It's insane. I can't wait to go back.
And how was the challenge of playing to an audience which isn't your own? Did you enjoy that relish?
Well, that was the thing, like, because they were so great and like into it and enthusiastic. It wasn't really hard. It's harder to play to your own crowd.
Who knows?
There's a lot more pressure.
A lot more pressure.
They know the songs as well. Our own crowd, like
they know how badly we're playing.
That's it.
It's not like the record.
Yeah. You made a mistake there. Yeah, that's not how it was.
But yeah, the Germany, and like a lot, like we played our own headline in Amsterdam as well, and the crowd were like moshing. There
was a crowd.
Yeah, we thought
that's what
nobody
amazed
would
me.
come.
The fact that there was a crowd.
We were
That
also
was the
sad.
thing, yeah. We were sitting there being like, oh, it's gonna be like 15 people.
Yeah, because we came back from Germany.
200 people there.
Yeah, right.
It was insane.
It must be the obviously the digital age now has changed everything for the likes of you guys and maybe whoever's working behind you helping your music get out there. It just shows the strength of it really that a band from Drogheda like yourselves can touch people European wise or even further afield.
We can show up on someone's phone someday.
Yeah.
You know?
All of our friends get really mad at us because they're like, if your ad shows up, I know you. Stop showing up on my phone.
Because they search for your lunch, that's what they see all the time now.
Yeah.
I hate when I get like suggested our own like YouTube videos. Like I see my face just pop up on my phone. I'm like, I don't need to see that.
That's something we used to always talk about when we were really young. We used to, like, so we were like 4 guys with small town in Drogheda. We just always wanted to be a part of something way bigger.
Not that,
and
And
get us out,
But that's the dream, isn't it? You know, and obviously nobody knows when it's going to happen or if it's going to happen, and that's the thing about this industry. Like obviously, and the role that I'm in, like I run a website, so it's God, I'm bombarded every day by bands who are just dying for coverage. You know, you guys are in a market which is so saturated. You know, so the fact that you broke through.
Yeah.
It's
Don't take it for
thing.
granted. We're very fortunate.
Building momentum from here on in, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
We feel blessed.
Just trying to keep this going. Like if we can be doing this like in a year, in 5 and in 10, like hopefully.
I'm not gonna hang around with you.
Yeah. well, we can show up at the gigs and we can go back to our hotels.
separate ways.
Yeah. But no.
It
to
is.
keep this going.
Bizarre. And so, what's on the cards for you beyond this year? I know you've got a few things lined up for next year already.
The US in March is like the craziest thing ever for us. We found out that we got accepted for South by Southwest, and it was that was amazing enough. But then our label got onto us, and our management was like, "Do you want to do a tour for the whole month? Start, you know, in Philadelphia and New York, and work your way over to California."
And that a headline tour?
Yeah, I think so. I think so, unless it falls through.
Yeah, so the tour is we actually said no to it. So.
But
we did not say no to it.
Building on that, we have a third EP that's going to be released around the same time, and then we're back in the UK in April.
Straight up.
And yeah, it's going to be the busiest year of our lives.
Yeah.
With any luck.
Yeah. Absolutely, that's what I'm saying. Out of nowhere, blink of an eye, how things change.
Yeah. 100%. Like, we didn't think this was going to be happening like a year ago.
COVID. 6 months ago.
Yeah, it's been sort of a slow crawl and then a whirlwind.
Yeah, and I say you learn on your feet then, obviously as well.
Yeah.
It's such a big learning curve.
This tour has been so hard. It's the first time that we've like done it. I'm just trying to like sleep every chance.
Yeah.
We haven't like gotten sick of each other yet, but it's always worth it. Like the long days and like long hours driving and stuff. Like for the hour that you play every night.
Yeah.
It's like that's why you do it.
I was talking to one of the guys at a Volbeat the other day, and they've been on a 3-month tour.
Yeah.
So you can imagine that, like 3 months.
Don't know if we can do that.
Yeah.
I think we're just rookies.
We'll hit the gym and then we'll come back.
Yeah, we're complaining in about like 10 days.
Yeah.
If we go on tour for like 5 years.
Yeah.
No, I think the key of it is just having a good fucking sleep. Like if you get
You get cranky and hangry and stuff like that.
If you're constantly in a nice place, you'll wake up happy and be ready to work.
Yeah. It's about gratitude. Absolutely. Just being able to absolutely appreciate exactly the
get
situation.
A nice routine and
reality check once a day and say to yourself, I'm doing something that I love.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you get home and the tour is over, you're like,
why am I fucking home?
It will take literally 2 days.
A downer, a complete downer when you get back home. Reality, cornflakes and stuff,
I want my bed and the gigs.
Yeah, I want your bed on the bus.
Put your bed in my van.
Yeah.
I know. Back to reality. Well, look, guys, absolute pleasure talking to you. Thanks very much for your time. And just remind you guys, so Modern Love, so your new EP, Oh My Mind, currently out now, and where can everybody find you on the socials?
On Instagram and Facebook and all the rest, Twitter, it's at modernlove_band.
One word.
Yeah, cool.
All one word.
Yeah.
And iTunes, Spotify, all of your music vendor.
Sell your soul.
Yeah, let's go.
That's it. Well, look again, thanks so much, guys. That's a pleasure. Good.
Thanks for having us.
Enjoy yourselves tonight.
Cheers.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Thank you.